Where? What state? Oh, really? Okay. Well, good for her. That's great. We need to celebrate those moments like that. Be supportive of it. Yeah.
Good evening. I would like to call our May 14th meeting to order. If you guys will please rise and join us for a prayer and the pledge.
Will you pray with me? Our Lord, Father in heaven, we're so very thankful for this day, Father. We're thankful for all the many blessings you have given us each and every day, Father. We're just so blessed in everything that we have and in the community that we live in, Father. We pray that you'll be with us this evening as we discuss the matters of the city. Give us wisdom and discernment on the items that are discussed and the decisions that the council makes. And all these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Lewis.
Here.
Chairman Pro Tem Kennedy.
Here.
Councilwoman Opperman.
Here.
Councilwoman Pettit.
Here.
And Councilman Blades.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. First up is public comment. So a citizen desiring to speak on an item not on the agenda may do so at this time. Each citizen is limited to 3 minutes, and the council will not take action or discuss items at this time. Discussion should be limited to matters of city business, and public comment is not permitted in regards to personnel matters or on pending legal matters. Items introduced under public comment may become agenda items at a later date. Lisa Renfro. Good evening.
Y'all said, good evening. Thank you for letting me. Y'all are answering the questions tonight. And so my question is, on your budget, you allowed $40,794 on stormwater. And there, I have the packet with me. Algar Martin suggested in 2019 that we budget at least $150,000 to $180,000 toward all of the corrections, and it's about that thick. They give the culverts, the boxes, everything, the measurements and what needs to be, as well as the detention ponds. But I'm hoping you discuss that tonight as well.
I don't know that that's part of the audit discussion, if that's what you're referring to, but.
Oh, it's just the audit you're discussing tonight, not the budget itself?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I'd still like some time to hear what we're going to do about the stormwater.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. All right. Having no other public comment, we'll move to council forum. Mr. Pro Tem.
So attended a park cleanup day. We had a small group, so we stuck around White Park and got the landscaping in front of the pool sign done. So looks good, and hopefully those take off pretty well. Attended Chief Coatney's presentation at the Lions Club on fentanyl, and then participated in a police ride-along this weekend on Saturday. So special thank you to Aurora Marionville officers, Baldwin and Manteris, for putting up with me for a few hours on Saturday. Had a great time, so that's all I have.
Nothing to report in the last couple of weeks, but I will be at a Bright Futures meeting this Thursday. So.
Dawn?
So it's Feast or Famine. Hospital board meeting. We did the ribbon cutting at Chavez's restaurant. We had the Chamber Ward banquet meeting. And then I wanted to give a kudos out to the police and fire department for when we had the tornado. You guys were amazing. We used your scanner to help my whole company down there stay safe. It upsets me yet because you guys did such a good job, sorry. And then I love the flags downtown. They are really look beautiful. Thanks for doing that.
That's great. I couldn't go to the park day cleanup because I had a funeral that day, but and I went on vacation. But I did go to the community meeting today at the Garden Exchange. There are 24 different businesses there represented, and it was a very enlightening presentation, and it was from the extension, can't remember the lady's name.
Lisa Robinson.
Yes, thank you, and it was very good.
Awesome. I don't have a lot to report either. We pushed our planning and zoning meeting, and I was out of town on business as well. So, nothing else. We will move into the consent agenda, which will be our regular session minutes from April 23rd, along with the May appropriations.
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda containing the approval minutes for April 23rd, 2024, and May 2024 appropriation.
I'll second that.
And motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
I'm abstaining because in the budget or the expenses, I received something that was sent. It was flowers for the funeral, so anyway,
Okay.
abstaining from that.
Thank you. Moving on to no old business, moving on to new business. First up, we have National Police Week proclamation. So if I can get all of our officers to stand up, please.
Where's Wes?
Appreciate you showing up. So,
Yes, come on up here.
sure, yeah.
And we'll have a photo op right after, so don't go anywhere.
In 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas the members of the law enforcement agency of the City of Aurora play an important role in ensuring that the citizens and visitors to the Aurora community are able to live, visit, and conduct business in a safe and functional community. And whereas members of our police department take their duty as a solemn oath to serve the people of this community by safeguarding life and property, protecting them against violence or disorder, protecting the innocent against deception, and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas our police department strives to be the model of professionalism, unmatched in character and integrity, and the model of impartial application of the law without regard to color, creed, race, religion, nationality, or ethnicity. And whereas we acknowledge a debt of gratitude to the brave officers and deputies that have paid the ultimate price for their protection to protect the community they serve. Now, therefore, I, Jason Lewis, Mayor, City of Aurora, do recognize the week of May 12th through the 18th, 2024 as National Police Week, recognize May 15th, 2024 as National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and further extend appreciation to our Police Chief, Wes Coatney, and members of the Aurora Police Department and all other law enforcement officers in Lawrence County, Missouri for their invaluable service that they provide and their exemplary dedication to the community they serve.
Thank you, guys, very much so.
And do we have someone here to accept the Wound Care Week proclamation? I thought so. All right. Next up, 8.2 Wound Care Proclamation. It is estimated that nearly 7 million people currently live with chronic wounds, and that number is expected to grow at more than 2% annually for the next decade. And whereas the rising incident is fueled by an aging population and increasing rates of disease and conditions such as diabetes, obesity, and the late effects of radiation therapy. And whereas untreated chronic wounds can lead to diminished quality of life and possibly amputation of the affected limb. The chronic wound epidemic represents a cost of more than $50 billion to the healthcare system. And whereas more than 37 million people, 11.3% of the population, have diabetes in the United States. America's diabetic population is expected to nearly double by 2030. It is important to know the risk associated with diabetic foot ulcers. Almost 2 million of those people will develop a diabetic foot ulcer or other non-healing wound. Advanced wound care aims to prevent amputations and heal patients in a faster and more cost-effective way. Whereas wound care physicians and healthcare providers take great pride in caring for their patients and seeing their patients succeed. And whereas awareness and education about chronic wounds will benefit current and future chronic wound patients. The goal of Wound Care Awareness Week is to inform patients, their families, community physicians, and the public about the importance of advanced wound care and its ability to save lives and limbs. Now, therefore, I, Jason Lewis, Mayor of the City of Aurora, do hereby claim June 3rd through the 7th, 2024 as Wound Care Awareness Week. Okay, next up, 8.3, the fiscal year 2023 annual audit presentation and discussion.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Okay, the new face this year, Matt Wallace, shareholder with KPM CPAs out of Springfield, Missouri. I think you all have a copy of the fiscal audit report, so my plan tonight is just to kind of briefly go through the reporting package with you. Once I get rolling, I get going pretty quick, so don't hesitate to reach out and raise a hand or yell at me to stop me. But we'll start on page 4. As we get to page 4, as mentioned, I'm here with KPM CPAs. This is the first year that we've been the independent auditor for the city. Just wanted to kind of remind the city, as you all went out through the bidding process, our firm, we're out of Springfield, Missouri. We do audit over 50 cities here in the state, over 200 governments total in the state as well. So we do have a lot of experience down here in the area as well. So as I go through this and as the year goes on, if there are any questions or any concerns or anything like that, we're always available to answer any questions. Of course, John and his team has our contact information as well. So going through the reporting package on page 4, you'll kind of see near the top, but the reason you all hire us is for us to issue an opinion as to whether your financial statements are presented fairly in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So really the first few paragraphs you'll see there, the city did receive both a qualified and unmodified opinion. So to explain that, the qualified opinion is only on your governmental activities, and that's only related to the community hospital's capital assets not being reported in the financial statements. That's similar to previous years. There's nothing new there. But the unmodified opinion is on all the other elements of the audit report, including the governmental activities without the capital assets. So to kind of put that in layman's terms, the city did receive an unmodified opinion. That's a clean opinion, meaning that the financial statements are presented fairly in accordance with the GAAP, and also that they are another way to look at that is that they are free from material misstatement as well. So definitely want to congratulate the city on that. Again, besides that small qualification related to capital assets, that is the best opinion that a city can receive. As we continue through, we'll go to page 9 next. So on page 9, we have the first page of the management's discussion and analysis portion of the audit reporting package. This is this whole section is kind of a more summarized comparative information. I always say it's a great place to go if you just want to get a quick, brief overview of where the city was in 2023 and where the city was in 2022. Also, near the end of that, there's a really good economic outlook section, which was written by John and his team. Really goes in depth of the current year and also the outlook for 2024 as well. Nothing in particular that I wanted to go over in that section, but did want to point out that's a great place to go, especially if you just want a brief overview instead of reading the next 70 pages of the report. Next place I want to go is page 24. So on page 24, we get into the numbers. Again, I'm just going to hit the highlights. We're talking about December 31st, 2023, so I don't want to get into too much detail, but again, any questions that you all have, don't hesitate to let me know. On page 24, we have the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. That's basically your income statement for your governmental activities. I'll stick with that first column there, the general fund. About halfway down the page, you'll see total revenues for the general fund for 2023. We're right at $4.1 million. That was up about $670,000 from the prior year. Of note there, your first few items, your taxes, those were up about $230,000 from the prior year. Also wanted to point out that intergovernmental revenue, your federal and state grants, of about $425,000. That was up as well. That's mostly related to recognizing the COVID funding that you all have. Related to the CARES Act, the city does still have around $1 million at the end of 12/31 of that funding to spend. That's just considered unearned at this point until it's spent. Continuing down, your total expenditures are right at $4.65 million. That was up about $750,000 from the prior year. Again, just of note there, your largest increase was on that community development line item. That was up about $400,000, and your CARES Act, your ARPA funds, those were used on that expense line. That mostly was related to building demolition. There was some other expenses there as well. And your capital outlay of about $386,000, that was up about $100,000 from the prior year. A lot of that was related to some fiber installation, vehicles, and some other renovations that the city had as well. Continuing down, you'll see the net change. There overall was a net loss in the general fund of about $1 million. A lot of that decrease was planned and related to not only expenditures that we just discussed, but also you'll see that operating transfer out to the recreation fund related to your rec project that you all have. And that left a fund balance in the general fund of right at $1.45 million for the year. One thing I always like to look at when we look at that fund balance number is I like to look at the unrestricted fund balance compared to your expenses, kind of your operating reserve that the city has. We always recommend to have about 3 months in operating reserves each year. So when I look at your cash balances, your unrestricted balances, and did that calculation, the general fund was right at 30%. So still, even with that movement over to the recreation fund, still healthy reserves in the general fund. Again, just a few more highlights over in the second column. Your transportation fund, total revenues about halfway down the page, we're right at $2.1 million. Total expenditures right around $2 million as well. Large increase there was related to both in revenue and expenses, was related to your federal grant. You guys had a large airport grant that you received in 2023. Of course, you had the expenditures related to that as well. And overall, there was just a net loss in the transportation fund right at $4,000, leaving a fund balance of about $600,000 for the transportation fund. Also wanted to point out your next column, the park stormwater fund. Total revenues are right at $860,000. That was an increase of about $40,000 from the prior year. Total expenditures were right at $525,000. Overall, that was a decrease of about $215,000. There was quite a bit of capital outlay in the prior year in the park stormwater fund that was not reoccurring in the current year. And again, there was an overall decrease in the park stormwater fund of about $251,000. Again, portion of that's related to each fund paying its portion over to the recreation fund for that project. And that left a fund balance in that fund of about $390,000. Speaking of which, the fifth column there, your recreation fund, of course, that's tracking your large, you guys had a new debt issuance, so a large project that you all have. You'll see as we go down near the bottom there, your total debt proceeds, the 2023 COP that was issued by the city, about $10.8 million. That's all being tracked in there. So as the expenditures come in, you had about 1.2 million of those in 2023, but of course we'll see a lot more of those in 2024. And we'll see that fund then decrease related to the debt issuance that occurred. But right now at 2023, there's an overall fund balance in the recreation fund of about 10.9 million. And in that very last column, your total overall governmental funds had about a 16.7 million fund balance you'll see there at the very end. With an overall net increase in all of those funds of a little over $10 million. Again, most of that's related to your debt issuance that occurred in 2023. Next, we go to page 27. So on page 27, we have the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position for your enterprise funds. That's the sewer fund, and you'll see this year now you have a second column, your sanitation fund. So that's new this year. You wouldn't have seen that in prior years. That's, of course, to track your trash. So that's new, but on your first column there, the sewer fund total operating revenues right at $1.7 million. That was down about $120,000 from the prior year. Total operating expenses of about $987,000. That was up about $55,000 from the prior year. Going through those operating expenses, there really was no major change as far as an increase or decrease. Again, overall, it was just a $55,000 change in total in operating expenses. So nothing really stood out to me as I went through that. Continuing down, you'll see the overall increase in net position for the sewer fund was right at $560,000, leaving a total net position in the sewer fund of $10.5 million. Again, the second column there, your sanitation fund, your trash fund, ended with about $19,000 as the sanitation funds, again, had its charges for services in first year of expenses as well. Next, we'll go to page 30. So on page 30, we have the first page of the notes to the financial statements. I always like to point out, the next probably 20, 30 pages are the notes to the financial statements. That is part of the audit process, so anything you see as you go through there, that was part of our audit process and is part of our opinion as well. I would say it's a great place to go if you're looking at each line and on the balance sheet especially, but also on your income statement. More than likely, there's gonna be a note associated with that as well. So if you're looking at debt, capital assets, whatever it may be, there's gonna be a narrative, there's gonna be more information in the notes to the financial statements, including, of course, the new debt issue that you all have as well. There is a note related to that as well. There's nothing, there were no new specific notes to go over this year. So there's nothing specific that I wanted to go over within the notes, but like I said, great place to go to get more detail when you do have any questions when you're looking at the actual numbers themselves. The next place I wanted to go is on page 68. So we're almost getting through the reporting package now. All the way back on page 68. This is the first year, probably in quite a while, that the city did expend over $750,000 in federal funds. Anytime a government spends more than $750,000 in federal funds, of course, that includes any granting projects that you have, your largest one being your airport project, then you are required to have what's called a single audit or a federal compliance audit. So this was, you all did reach that threshold and have a federal compliance audit this year. When we do that, there are certain requirements that we're required to test on certain programs. The program that we had to test was, of course, your airport improvement program. That was the bulk of your federal dollars. Please report, and you can, as you read through the whole package here over the next few pages, you can read through in more detail. But the city did receive no internal control findings and no compliance findings for that program, which is the best result you can have for a single audit as well. So definitely want to congratulate the city on that as well. And then finally, I think I gave each of you a separate letter when I gave you the reporting package. Should just be a couple of pages. So in that separate letter that you all have, in addition to auditing your financial statements, issue an opinion on that. This year we also had your compliance audit and issuing our any findings that we had on that, which were none. Any recommendations that we come across during the audit report, we'd like to put those in a letter as well and then address those to council and management. So that's what this letter is. It's a separate letter. It's not part of the reporting package, just for us to discuss today. So going through that, had a couple of items. You'll see item 1 about halfway down the page, budgetary compliance. There were a couple of funds where the actual expenditures for the year exceeded the final budgeted expenditures. Pretty common for that to happen for a city. A lot of times the reason is because you all operate kind of on a cash basis throughout the year, but then you have accruals at year end, whether it be accounts payable, things like that happen at year end that can kind of push you over that budget. Not a big deal, just something to review each year, see where you're at, and of course amend that budget when you get to year end. So that was one thing that we all thought you all could look into. The second item there is related to the Aurora Community Hospital. As we went over, the qualified opinion on the governmental activities is related specifically to just those capital assets not being in there. The reason why those capital assets aren't in there, I think, from my perspective, was just that the assets that the city gave over, for control happened so many years ago. There was no tracking process throughout the years. So my recommendation here is just see if you can go through the historical data, see if you can come up with some sort of capital asset historical cost with that. Because if we could get that, we could knock off that qualified opinion, just have a full unmodified opinion if we didn't have any other issues, of course. So that's just one thing. I talked to John about that. Maybe if that's possible to go through that over the next year, kind of see what we have. When we come out and do the audit next year, of course, we'll assist with that and see what you all were able to come up with. On the next page, item 3. This is just a general recommendation, so this is related to cybersecurity information technology controls. Nothing specific that we found during our testing here at the city, but just a general recommendation that we've had for all of our governmental clients. It's been pervasive throughout the state, just different IT fraud type situations that have occurred. So just reviewing that annually, making sure that you guys do have processes in place. Always strongly recommend that. And item 4, that's just related to new accounting pronouncements. Good thing is there are no new accounting pronouncements that will affect the city next year. So you can read through those. Of course, we'll help the city in the year after. When some of these standards do go into effect, we'll help the city implement those as well. And that is pretty much all I have. Of course, want to thank council for allowing me to present. Really want to thank John, Jessica, Cammie, the whole team here at the city. first year audits can be a little cumbersome because we don't speak the same language that first year. But they were really great to work with, able to get us everything we needed, so we definitely appreciate that. Very transparent, opened the books up to us so we could see everything we needed. So definitely appreciate that process. Went really well, I thought, and of course will only go better going forward. With that, like I said, I do have John has my contact information, so any questions you all have throughout the year, always available. But I can answer any questions you all have at this time too.
How long have you had the report? How long has this been compiled?
So, we put the report in draft form up until release date, which would be today. So in a draft format, we have had it for several weeks. So
Okay.
that was one thing that I was wondering, and I don't know how it was in years past for you all. I would be happy to, let John and his team release a draft copy. I always like it to be a draft copy, just in case there are any changes in the interim. It more than likely wouldn't be.
Okay.
But I'd be happy to provide you all a draft copy instead of just having the final copy here tonight, if that's kind of what you're getting at.
Personally, I don't care for being presented 73 pages.
Yeah, no, yeah, I
and being
completely
able to
understand.
digest it all. So I think having advance, access to it I think it's pretty important.
Yep, completely understand. And we can definitely do that.
Okay.
Appreciate your availability afterwards, in case we do have questions, and awesome job, staff. Appreciate the kind words you shared about them as well. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Couple things I just want to add, council, is number one is that very pleased with, and hopefully you guys are too, with what you heard, and that with everything that we do, day in and day out, I think it's pretty important. I think it's pretty important for us to remember that all of our staff are doing what they're supposed to be doing, when they're supposed to be doing it, how they're supposed to be doing it. So I think that's pretty important. One thing I will address is the budgetary compliance, and that issue stand alone with the recreation center because we were taking the large debt, issuing large amount of debt, that coming in, going out, what we had spent during the year out of the cash reserves from the general fund. Jesse, the city treasurer, and I were a little unclear exactly how to handle that, how to track that, and so we deferred to the auditor when they looked at that, and as they found it, everything was accounted for and stuff like that. Budgetary compliance is something that I take pretty seriously, and that as far as any sort of the resolutions that need to get done to bring this back to you, we get that done ahead of time before the audit is completed. So that is just one thing I want to reassure you that that's not, that should be understood that that's not a norm and stuff, so that we take care of that. But I've just special thanks to Jessica and her crew. She asked if she needed to be here tonight. I knew that there was no issues or anything else like that. No hard decisions were probably going to need to be asked. And from that standpoint, she had softball games for her family and stuff. So I said that go ahead and go on that. But her staff did an amazing job, as well as all the other department staff doing a good job tracking and keeping track of expenditures and following city policy.
Sounds like she deserved a evening away, so well deserved. So thank you again. 8.4, resolution number 2024-1973, DaySmart Recreation Software for the Recreation Center.
Council, this was discussed previously, and we sent this, the contract as presented from them, from DaySmart to our city attorneys. The city's attorneys added quite a bit to that, sent it back to them, and DaySmart was good with all of that. And so we have a more formalized contract than what was originally presented. Along with that, there came, you had questions, Mayor, about security audits and penetration testing and stuff like that. And they did not have any to provide to us at this time.
Okay. A little alarming, given that they're probably going to be housing our citizens' data and credit cards, and DaySmart was the one negative in selecting them was that they force us into their point of sale system, and they're, of course, making money on the back end on that, which is why they're forcing us into that. So I have a little concern to audit number 3 item, right, security. So, I would like to, I'm not saying I don't want to move forward with them, but I would like to press them to get that done or ensure how they're going to protect our data.
Yeah, at the least a PCI compliance certificate or
Yeah,
something.
that this should be standard in the business.
Sure, I agree.
So
I say we table it until they come back with something. I don't think we have to approve that tonight.
I would say that the amounts that we have gotten will not carry beyond tonight. We've been pushing to get this brought to you, and I've been told by them that what they have presented will not be, that same amount will not be offered going forward if we continue for it to be delayed.
I mean, in the contract, we do have the ability to terminate if we feel otherwise. There is that.
30 days, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm fine. I would be okay, I guess, approving it with, so we don't lose out on the discount, but to really press them before we get going on some type of certificate, because we got to know how they're protecting our data. It's a concern.
Okay. Would the council consider tentatively approving it with me to follow up as far as you said CTI?
Yeah.
To see about getting a time frame
Certificate.
from them of when they will do that, and with successful resolution of that issue, going ahead and approving it as soon as I can get verification from them and assurances from them that that'll be done and when.
I'd be fine with that.
So we don't approve anything tonight, we're just saying what we want.
We're
when
approving
they
it with a
come back.
condition that
Yeah.
he gets it.
What's the deadline, though?
If it's 30 days that we have, is that something that they could get to us in that 30
If
day
they have it,
timeframe?
they should be able to get it. I'm guessing they don't have it, or they would have sent that probably in response to my question today.
Is that gonna be a bigger fee then?
I don't think we would anticipate paying for that. That's something that
They should,
they ought to be doing.
they should
Yeah.
be providing to their customers to ensure that they're, unless they're outsourcing this, maybe that's the answer, that they're really not housing our data. Maybe it's Visa or MasterCard, and I'd be fine with approving it, with them explaining how they're protecting our data and the point of sale machines and our customers.
I can also set up a very quick meeting with them to see about answering with you guys, because you've sat in on the discussions before with them, to see about getting a Zoom meeting or Teams meeting set up so that you could talk their language a little better than I can.
And you might lead that off too by asking for specifically their PCI compliance statement, because that would cover 95% of what we're asking about here, since that's related to
You said CTI?
PCI, pay card industry, PCI.
Okay.
And that essentially covers most of that, so.
As folks sign up for memberships, we're gonna have a lot of information.
All of our credit card information is going to be in there, so I'd want mine protected just like everybody else's, so.
So if we go ahead and sign it now, the agreement, with the understanding they would provide that within 30 days, we still have enough time then to break that contract and then to go with someone else before we even use
And I-
the system.
And I think what we're authorizing, I haven't read it completely, but we're authorizing you to have the ability to enter into that.
Right.
So we're,
Enter into it and to get a written statement from them of when they would have that done. Otherwise, there would be an escape clause for us to get out of the contract if they do not comply with that within a certain amount of time.
Well, I say the sooner the better, because if they can't be compliant, we gotta move on to somebody else.
I'd be
Are
really,
you guys thinking the same thing or not? What are you thinking?
yeah, I'm a little surprised they don't have anything provided audit-wise and, housing, unless they're just really not housing the data and they've outsourced it and it's not their concern, and maybe somebody else, they have a vendor that should be providing that to them to pass on.
So that is kind of where they're leaning in their data security section. So pardon me for reading novel here. DaySmart Recreation will use commercially reasonable efforts to secure storage, transmission, and processing of payment data that flows through its systems. DaySmart Recreation will use commercially reasonable efforts to use validated PCI DSS service providers to facilitate the storage, transmission, and processing of payment data. DaySmart Recreation will use commercially reasonable efforts to maintain compliance with PCI DSS requirements. At no point is cardholder data intentionally stored on our systems, and at no point does intentionally unencrypted cardholder data flow through our network.
Okay,
So,
So it is outsourced then.
yeah, okay, that makes
So
more sense.
are you good going forward?
I am.
Okay.
I still would like to ask them for their vendors.
yeah, and they should be able to provide that.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
part and parcel of doing business with that.
Okay.
Yep.
I will ask for that.
So with that, I will make a motion that we approve Resolution 2024-1973 DaySmart Recreation Software.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passed.
Thank you. If they do provide that to you, John, then we obviously don't need a meeting. Just if you would share that with council, that way we all know that we've received that. If they don't have it, then we can schedule a meeting and we can go from there.
Sure.
Great, thank you. 8.5, Resolution 2024-1974 Airport Board Appointment, Mr. Dennis Baker.
So right off the bat, I'd like to make a motion that we accept resolution 2024-1974, the airport appointment of Mr. Dennis Baker.
Second?
Motion and a second, please vote.
Motion passed.
I'd like to thank him for his continued pro bono work. Great asset. 8.6, Resolution number 2024-1977 Asphalt Bid, Blevins Asphalt.
I've asked Jason to be here to answer any questions that he may have from the council.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, council. It's that time of year again.
Good evening.
You get to see my smiling face. Keep it down. I know you're excited.
Okay.
No, this is pretty standard. We did come in just a little bit over than what we originally budgeted. We wanted to fix a spot at the airport where the old hangar used to be. That needs to be done. So that's been added in. And then, of course, we're continuing our work in the cemetery. We're hoping if we can continue this, maybe 2 more this year and 1 more, fingers crossed, the whole cemetery will be complete.
Okay.
And then none of us will ever have to worry about it again, because it will be years, so good thing there. So the total bid come in at $228,960. 185,760 is for the streets, and 43,200 is for the cemetery. If you look on there on that page, there is an extra airport down there. That is a section of the road. Several years ago, we paved the front half, last remaining part of the road that would take them up to the building. If council decides to do that, you're looking between 16 and 17,000 more on top of this to do that. But Blevins is the one that received the bid, excuse me. They were the only ones that bid this year. They're more than glad to do it. But if we don't, they're okay with that too. It's just whatever we want to do. They're going to be there. So if the council decides that they want us to push forward, I'm sure John is in agreement. we can do that section, but that's completely up to you guys
Okay.
on it. Other than that, it's just pretty basic what we do every year.
Probably makes sense to do it while they're there and, just have that whole area done and over with, so.
Right.
Yep.
Again, that's one of those that once we finish it, it'll be many, many years before it's
Mm-hmm.
needed again, so to speak.
Yeah. What other questions do you guys have? So, we've started down a path, at one point, working with Liberty, having them get this list ahead of time.
Yes.
Has any of the water been replaced at these locations? How are we doing with that whole?
I've given the
Partnership.
list to Liberty. They wanted a list this year, so I gave them a list. I also gave Lance a list today for the manholes. And they said they would get on it and start, to work on the project.
Good.
That needs to be replaced. But I have not heard back from them. We always kind of wait till we get the final bid to know where we're going. So probably, tomorrow or Monday, depending on if you guys want to approve it, then I'll get with Liberty and say it's a definite go. Here's the time frame we're looking at. But they were very receptive in saying, yeah, well, just let us know what you're paving and we'll do it.
What about Miller Pipeline? Will you be contacting them too?
I work really close with Miller.
Okay.
They're operating out of our facility,
Okay.
actually, and a little pun to those guys, they've been amazing
Okay.
to work with. If we've had an issue, they take care of it immediately. And there's a lot of issues, they're making holes all over the place, but they've been really good to work with. So
Okay.
I'll get with them also just to see where we're at, if
Okay.
they're gonna do anything there.
Okay.
And we're gonna finish, if you've seen that spot on Prospect, we're gonna finish that up by the
Right.
school, so
Good.
that'll be all done too.
Good.
No questions from me.
Mm-mm.
Well, one that I had, he answered here, so.
So do we need to go ahead and approve it with the additional for the airport then, probably?
Yes. Yeah, the one section of airport was already in the bid.
Right?
I was actually the first bid opening I've ever missed. My granddaughter had a field trip and Pawpaw couldn't tell her no, so I was gone that day. And my guys just brought it up and it was good. I'm glad they caught it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you guys wanna do that, we'll add it on. I'll let Blevins know. Like I said, I've already spoke with them and they're good either way. No
Okay.
problems.
What was the number on that additional? Sorry.
17,000?
Yeah, it'll vary a little bit depending on how thick I need to go. I figured it a little bit high. I'm
Okay.
hoping to come in around 16.2 on it, that addition, but I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah, but I think if you add the 17, it gets up to 245.
Yep.
So, and what was your estimate of I knew it came in over,
Yeah, we normally budget 175 for the streets
okay?
and 35 in the cemetery. But, and the cost per ton didn't change much for our streets. It did change a little bit for the cemetery. That's a different amount
Okay.
because we get a break since it's actually a city street versus, in a place like a parking lot or cemetery, they just charge more. So it is a little more. We always do 400 ton and I'm hoping we can continue that to finish our goal of the cemetery. And we're at a point there too, I'm sure John will mention it, but we're gonna have to open up some lots and build a few roads, so maybe 2 years, but it may be 3 with the new openings,
Okay.
So
but
just-
we're really close.
Just a thought, whenever we get to budget talks and things, I wouldn't mind seeing, say, over the last, say, 3 years or 5 years, whatever's easy, of what it's cost per ton.
Versus
Because I get I know it's went up, and if we are just budgeting 275, we're eventually gonna be down to not much
Right.
paving, right? And maybe we need to adjust, how much we're doing, look at it as a per tonnage, goal as opposed to a dollar goal,
Right,
right? Maybe our number needs to change to keep up with paving, right? Like,
Okay.
I feel like maybe we're gonna fall behind of not paving enough at the rate we're going someday, right?
I understand what you're saying, but at the end of the day, it still has to do with the projected revenues and making sure that we're not digging into our cash reserves. The first year that I was here, Jason can tell you, in 2017, the city did absolutely zero paving work on city streets. And the reason for that was that there wasn't sufficient cash reserves. in that. And so that's because it was just, we'll keep doing it even though we don't necessarily have the money. So I understand what you're saying is that, because that was a concern last year that you brought up, is why are, it says out in the out years, what, 200,000. Well, that's best case scenario. And that is also based on what we know the revenue, when I'm not going, could I make that 200,000? Sure. I could just overestimate the budget and say, oh, I think we're gonna have bigger revenues than we do. I can make it work on paper.
Yeah.
But the reality is that when it comes in and when the revenues come in and the expenditures go out, it's not going to work well for us. I make the recommendations for that based on what I think all the other issues within the budget work. So we can always strive and aspire to that $200,000 or more if there's not other big things coming in and stuff. So, and I don't want to prolong this, but I absolutely see what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just thinking more long-term. Eventually,
Right.
$200,000 will not get the job done, right? Is that 2 years from now? Probably not. 10 years from now, maybe.
We're already past 200,000.
Yeah.
We're at 245.
Yeah,
if we
I
do
just mean
everything.
at some point, 200's not going to get much paving done, is all.
Yeah, 245 is also including the cemetery, which dollars come out of that, out of the general fund.
Sure.
175 is that you're even over that,
Just a
in the
little.
$180,000 range. One
Yeah.
thing I will say is that this is, again, when they go out there, they're measuring length and distance and how much, and doing the math on, all right, if we want to do a 2 or 3 inch overlay, and we think it's going to take this much tonnage. The nice thing about one thing Jason does is he stands out there and makes sure that they don't run it thick.
Yeah.
He keeps them right on. If it says
We've had
3
that
inch
happen.
overload, or excuse me, overlay, that keeps it, because that is a way that tonnage can be increased, and then we just have to pay. He keeps them, and I hate to use the term, but honest, making sure that we're not going over what we should. And there's been a lot of years that we've actually come under what has
Yeah.
been approved and budgeted. We've met everything, but we've come under budget because he and all his staff make sure that they're keeping right on what is supposed to be laid on.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does, yep. Okay, well, with that, I will make a motion that we approve resolution number 2024-1977 with the addition of the 190-ton for the airport road.
Second.
Motion and a second, please vote.
Awesome. Thank you, council.
Thank you, sir.
Motion passed.
Next up, 8.7, special event application, 7th Annual Mercy, Aurora, and Cassville Run to Care 5K.
Good evening, council.
Hello, Carrie.
Several special event applications for you tonight, as you can see. So the first one comes to you tonight by formal application by Mercy Hospital, Aurora, and Cassville. Applicant is Christine Forrester. So this is just like previous years, as far as I can tell. No changes to the routes. Management team discussed it this morning. We have no concerns, so staff recommendation is approval. But I will turn it over to Mrs. Forrester for her to share some detailed information for you and the community.
You just wanted to get up and talk, didn't you?
Not at all. I was really hoping Carrie would do it all. It's going to be the same as it has been in the years past. Our goal this year is 300 participants and to raise $12,000. Last year we were able to raise $10,000. So we've upped our goal this year, and so we're really not going to have a whole lot of changes from years past. But we still plan on having Lifeline, land, and have some vendors set up there, so.
Great. And
anything I can-
per tradition, the new council member is in the dunk tank, I believe. So,
Yeah, mm-hmm,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, so,
So I see that Josh just volunteered to do that.
Yeah.
I'll make sure and note that, so.
I'm pretty sure I could probably trigger it without even getting it.
okay, well, any questions, council? All right, I'll make a motion, we approve resolution number, approve special event application, 7th Annual Mercy Aurora Cassville Run Care 5K.
Second that.
Motion and a second, please vote.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thanks.
8.8, special event application movie night at White Park.
Council, this one comes to you tonight from your Aurora Park Board. Applicant is Nikki Kennedy. This is scheduled to be this coming Saturday, May 18th. Again, staff discussed this at our management meeting this morning. We have no concerns, but Mrs. Kennedy is present, and she has several in a row here. So if you want to just join me up here in case they have any questions.
I don't have any questions. I just want to tell you guys, Park Board, I think you guys are doing a fantastic job, and I appreciate all the special events you guys are doing, and it's awesome. So fantastic job. It's not easy.
Ryan, we're a little worried about the rain, but
Yeah, yeah. Hope we won't mention weather.
I don't think it's supposed to rain
it's not
Saturday,
that
is
we-
it?
If it's wet, if it,
Oh,
to sit,
okay.
and so we're gonna evaluate.
Bring a
So
chair.
I did have a question about that. If we do have to do a rain date, does this cover our rain date?
Yeah, so we would just, I would need to talk to staff about it again, but we've already discussed your rain date since you had it on the application, and we have no conflicts at this time. So Travis and I are both prepared for that if need arises.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions, council? Make a motion that we approve special event application movie night at White Park.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Thank you very much. 8.9, special event application 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
Council, this one also is to be held at White Park. And I just wanted to share a little bit. You mentioned a thank you to the Park Board and said how great they're doing. This one you can see comes from Travis Wittenborn, City Parks Director. And I just wanted to kind of point out that Travis told me, he says, I'm going to do this one because the Park Board sat at their meeting and kind of divvied up all these different events that they're doing. You handle this one, that person handles this one, that kind of thing. And I think we have a lot of a smoother process going on at this point. So I just want to say how much I appreciate you guys working with the staff like you are, and kind of divvying that up between their people on the Park Board. It makes it easier for us to have detailed information, and so that I know how to answer the questions when you guys have them. So I just wanted to point out that they're doing that and how much we appreciate it. So this is the 3-on-3 basketball. Again, staff has discussed it, no concerns from your management team, and our recommendation is approval.
Make a motion to approve special event application for 3-on-3 basketball tournament.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Thank you. Next up, special event application mud run.
This one is for their mud run to be held at Baldwin Park on Saturday, June 15th. Travis has been working with Jason in the street department, and I believe the fire department as well, to make sure that we get that wetted down so it's actually a mud run and not a dirt run. So there have been several parameters within, I think, that they've been discussing on that one. Again, staff recommendation is approval with no concerns by your management team.
Questions? No? Make a motion that we approve special event application mud run.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Thank you. 8.11, special event application community pool night.
Council, this one is for our city pool at White Park to be open to the public on Saturday, June 2nd, from 12 to 6 p.m. Travis gave it in his report this morning in our management meeting that the pool is full. It's full, getting warmer, 73 as of today. So, but I think it's gaining. He says all the testing has been good. So I think our pool is going to be ready to go when they get to the point of it opening here within the next week or two. No concerns on this from your management team. Staff recommendation is approval.
Wonderful. Questions? I'll make a motion we approve special event application community pool night.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Thank you. 8.12, special event application hydrant party.
Council, this one is scheduled to be on July 2nd. This is the hydrant party similar to what we've done in the past or had here in the past around the City Hall area. Liberty has been contacted. They are in cooperation again this year to provide the use of the hydrants. Fire Department has confirmed that they'll be present for that as well. Staff recommendation is approval with no concerns from your management team.
Okay. Questions? Make a motion we approve special event application hydrant party.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Thank you. 8.13, special event application big rig touch a truck.
Council, this one is scheduled for July 20th of 2024 to be held around Oak Park. This will have some street closures. It's the only one in your packet that will have street closures to this extent. So it'll be involving Oak Street, College, and Park Streets, set up like a car show. This will be, I believe, similar to the one you had last year. They're correct. So, management team discussed it this morning. They have a plan of action for both street and parks to be involved in those street closures. No concerns with that. Neighborhood will be notified via our normal means, and staff recommendation is approval.
Just real quick on that one, just to clarify, I think last year there may have been a little bit of confusion on fire employees, whether they were there to work or there to participate, and I think the park board is asking them to participate if they can. So
Okay.
If they have a spare vehicle or somebody they can have sit down there and let the kids climb around, that'd be great. So-
Sure. I'll make sure that Chief Hurd is aware of
And I
that,
think
but,
they made sure to put them on the one side where they could quick exit if they needed to, so there was no trapping in the vehicle, so.
okay.
I do have a question about all of the activities that you guys are, I'm not looking at you,
Sure.
that you guys are doing. How are you advertising? So people, because there's a lot of effort and work that goes in to do these. How do you let the community know that these are available?
Right now, we have the Facebook page for the Parks and Rec Department, as well as the Aurora Community Connect Facebook page, and then just flyers and word of mouth. So we do have flyers printed up for each of these events that we can put up around town. But
We did talk about making a banner also, kind of like what they did for the, like, Community Park Day cleanup, to put in the parks also. We haven't got the okay to do that yet, but that's what we're planning on doing with all the events and the dates and everything to put up in the parks.
So one banner with all the information, that would be good.
Yeah, that's why we're trying to get it so we can have it in one
Okay.
location.
Okay. And I'm just assuming, you guys are doing such a great job. And I know the park system has changed because it used to be administrative and now it's advisory. I'm assuming you're doing this until we get somebody hired, Parks Direct, the recreation director, and I'm hoping that this becomes more of a city thing instead of only the volunteers doing it. So I don't know if you guys had any input on that or not. Yeah, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah, I think we just kind of are doing it, trying to get it started, but it would help if it did go into like the rec center, where there's actually like paid employees that have to come out.
Okay. May I please have a request then, as you do this? Would you please keep track of your hours of how much time you're spending doing these things? Because then that would determine what, if we need a part-time staff just to do that sort of thing, or how to divide that out. I think that would be so helpful. So, okay, good job. Did we already pass that? Or
Nope,
we
nope.
just asked-
We'll
okay.
make a motion that we approve special event application, Big Rig Touch a Truck.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second, please vote. Maybe a, kind of off the cuff here, but some type of information sign, some type of event space at the park, some type of,
Or maybe even by
kiosk,
the
like
pool.
a,
Yeah.
something where we can put stuff in to notify people.
We-
Thinking out loud.
That's been talked about before on Park Board.
Okay. 8.14, special event application, Light the Night Firework Festival. Hi.
Council, this, Shannon Walker's here. I'm gonna have her come up and do her normal presentation to you guys, but a couple of things I wanted to touch on. So we started a couple of years ago, an annual meeting where all of the department heads that are involved in providing employees or any kind of organization to this to meet with Shannon. And so we've done that continuously over the years. We did that again this year. We had the meeting a couple of weeks ago with all of the departments present, and we met down there at the chamber office with Shannon. So no changes in terms of city staff that is required or requested, and staff has no concerns at this point, and recommendation is approval. The only thing I wanted to touch on a little bit special this evening was the insurance requirements and what this event looks like in comparison to some of our others because of the amount of people that we anticipate in attendance. So we'd had some questions about the insurance side of it. It's clear, I think, from a couple of different standpoints that this is a partnership event between the City of Aurora and the Chamber of Commerce for this event. She advertises it that way, and so we've checked with our insurance, and we've also checked with the pyrotechnics company about the liability required there. So there was some confusion at one point about whether Shannon needs to provide some liability in addition to what the city has. With this being a partnership event on city property, obviously our liability would kick in, but where this gets a little bit questionable is the fireworks aspect. So anytime Shannon was looking at an insurance policy to kick in on this, you say the word fire and don't even get to works, and it changes things a lot. So we had talked about what she would need to provide in addition to what the city insurance would cover, and quickly discovered by review of the insurance that's provided by the pyrotechnics company that they're going to more than cover the fireworks side of that requirement. So with the city insurance coupled with the pyrotechnics policy that provides more than what our city code requires on that, I believe that our insurance requirement is fulfilled though through those, and Kami and I have discussed that, and we're comfortable with that along with our insurance company. So with that being the case, with it being a sponsored event or a co-sponsored event, we're not requiring any insurance from her other than what the pyrotechnics company is providing. So we are requiring that.
And the city's insurance has approved that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're additional insured on the pyrotech policy every year.
Okay.
So, and then I'll let Shannon talk about her details.
Not a whole lot of details have changed over the years. COVID was kind of a blessing in the long run for us because we were able to shorten our hours. It used to be such a long day, and it was hot. And we found out that people really weren't coming out and utilizing all the fun stuff until the sun started going down, until it started cooling off. So 5 to 10 at Baldwin Park. It is a free event for the community. We do accept donations, but they are not required by the public. So we're pretty lucky. We do get quite a few donations to kind of help offset some of our costs. Again, we'll have Cover Charged will be there playing. We have, I started looking today about some kids' activities through the Knocker Balls business in Mount Vernon that has been there the last 3 years. They've provided some fun stuff for the kids, and I actually had to shut down accepting food trucks because we were getting ready to get overrun with them, and it's not fair to have 25 food trucks and them not having, and we do have a big crowd. I mean, because last year our numbers were like 37, 48, and Roger Thurman does a real good job keeping count for us, but to have more than 10 food trucks is a little over the top. As much as I would love to have a food truck event at some point in time, until we cross that bridge, we're not going to do it for Light the Night. So do you guys have any questions?
I have one, and I reviewed your application, but I don't remember right now. But I know it's by donation, people going into the park, but the money that you accumulate, who gets that money?
That goes to the chamber to help us offset any extra costs that we might occur. So we have to pay for porta potties, we pay for the band, we pay for the kids' activities, just whatever comes up. We don't come and say we need $1,000.
Yeah.
So
how much do you usually collect? Just curious.
It varies.
Sure.
The lowest we've ever collected was like $500. The highest we've ever collected was about $900.
Okay.
So, and it's not a requirement. I mean, it's because we're not allowed to charge for parking.
Right.
A lot of big events like this will charge for parking, and that helps us offset them. But because it is the city park, we're not allowed to do that. So, and there's lots of people who don't, and that's okay. That's why we just say they're accepted.
Okay.
So,
I was just curious.
yeah.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve Light the Night event, Light the Night Fireworks Festival.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Council, I apologize, I'm going to go off script just a second here. I had mentioned prior to the start of the meeting to the mayor and to John, we had a special event application that came before you at your last meeting for a candlelight ceremony down here for the Veterans Memorial that was scheduled for this weekend. They've had an issue, a little bit of a glitch with those banners getting here in time. So they're going to be canceling that event for this weekend. So I just wanted to put it on the record that will not be taking place this Sunday. They are looking at a reschedule, and then I'll have some updates for you guys when we have that date.
Okay, good.
In addition to that, the park board, we had multiple applications in front of you, and then they pointed out to me that on Saturday, June 1st, they were planning to have a beach volleyball tournament at Crosby Park. that application somehow didn't make it in my packets. So I think we're going to be looking at our next meeting being pretty close to June 1st.
It's the 28th.
Yeah, so I'll take some council direction as to whether you'd like that to come back to you in formal application process on the 28th, or if you would give any direction for them to go ahead and start advertising that a little bit.
Is this something that you discussed at your management meeting, or just something that was missed entirely?
Missed entirely.
And it's do you want someone?
Beach volleyball at Crosby Park. It's 4-on-4, trying to get 8 teams, have a little tournament.
Travis has been in that conversation, I'm assuming, and is aware of it.
So I personally have no issue with approving that. I'll maybe defer to our new attorney Nate over here. Thank you for.
I think you just amend the agenda, right, and add it to it if
Yeah.
it's been discussed previous at the, but you don't have committee meetings as far as that goes, do you?
It's been discussed at the park board meeting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Several of them.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that would prevent it from, just a special use, is that right?
Special event, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been held before, correct?
I mean, I'm assuming you've amended the agenda before to add stuff like that. I think you can vote to do that. It's not a,
Okay.
if you think,
Okay.
because the next meeting is what, 3 days prior to the event?
Yeah. So let me pose this to council. I would like to make a motion that we amend our agenda and add 8.15 special event application sand volleyball event to the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. Okay, so we've added 8.15. We'd like to discuss that now, Carrie. So any questions from council on this event? You said what date? What's the date?
What are your times for that event?
7 p.m. till probably
It's on is it I can't remember, Saturday? Saturday? Okay. I was
No,
just gonna say, setting a precedent of other events that get missed or whatever, this one is not requiring any city funds or any city assistance, correct? We're not closing streets or doing anything like that.
Right,
And-
that was gonna be my next question to ask you guys. So any extra assistance from any city staff that you're asking for? No? Okay, so no.
Okay. I will make a motion that we approve 8.15 special event application for sand volleyball tournament.
Second.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Thank you.
Thank you, council. We'll take care of the paperwork on that to formalize it and get it on the record. Thank you.
Good job, everyone. Next up, staff reports.
Council, we're going to go ahead and start with Chief Hurd providing some information about the tornado response. Largely, the city of Aurora did not get hit. It was just immediately to our south, but the city fire department helped with some mutual aid with some of that. So I wanted him to kind of share that information with you.
So on Wednesday, May 8th, the tornado made a path of destruction traveling from the city of Monette to Aurora along Route 60. From 428 to 459, we had the sirens sounded here in Aurora. They went off every 3 minutes. We had reports of heavy rain, large hail, and funnel clouds were reported. Even though the City Hall and the police and fire facility are not tornado shelters, we were inundated with people at both locations, just swamped. People driving in there, riding their bikes, running just to find shelter. And we accommodated all those people. The area impacted was Farm Road 1180 to 1130, and then Farm Road 2230 to the County Line Road, which is out past Walmart. So it was approximately a 7-mile path. This area is covered by the Aurora Rural Fire Protection District. Fire departments that responded to assist was, of course, the City of Aurora, Purdy Fire Protection District, Pierce City Fire Protection District, Monette Rural Fire District, Central Crossing Fire Protection District, Mercy, St. Ambulances, and also assisting was the Aurora Police Department and the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office. Aurora Rural had established a command center near 18392 Lawrence 2230, and the command post was ran by Andrew Leach and Josh Kennedy of the Aurora Rural Fire Department. Both those gentlemen are with the Nixa Fire Department full-time, and they also had the help of the assistant chief from Central Crossing, which is Shellknob. City of Aurora, we had 14 people respond and help out. We had a 3-member crew that was in the brush truck that actually went out and was helping cut trees, search properties, houses for injured people, and help shut off propane tanks. We had a 2-member crew. They helped deliver gas and chainsaw blades and other equipment to our crew out working. 9 members were at the fire station, and we covered the calls not only for the city of Aurora, but also for the Aurora Fire Protection District. So we covered 6 calls for service during that time period. The overall operation, I thought, of the incident went very well and very smooth. I was impressed. There was no injuries, no deaths. 2 areas of concern that I had was I could not believe the amount of people trying to go out there and look. I mean, people in these big jacked up pickup trucks and big tires think they can drive over a tree that's laying in the middle of the road and wires. It was just unbelievable, the backed up traffic. I had to park and walk because of all the cars out there. So that was an area of concern. And the other area of concern was with the Aurora Fire Department, our ability to communicate with other fire departments outside of Lawrence County. They're on different systems, and I could hear people talking within Lawrence County, but I couldn't hear those other fire departments working in our county because they're on different radio systems.
Chief, is there not a statewide channel that we have the ability to go to, or I kind of remember some of this from the 911 business we went through, but.
Yes, we do, and the 911 center has that capability if they choose to use it, but most of our radios are not compatible with that program.
Gotcha. Okay.
So hopefully in the future.
Okay.
So overall, I thought that was a excellent ran operation, and I was glad we were able to participate. So
Awesome. Job well done.
thank you.
Continuing on, the street department, new street building, they're waiting on Liberty for electricity and to get the rest of the utilities to that building. And we've been discussing getting fiber out to that building as well. Mosquito spraying will be starting soon with all the wet weather and the standing water. That is the breeding ground for mosquitoes, so they'll be getting going on that pretty soon. Mowing and weed spraying on right-of-ways is occurring now. And as Jason said, they've been completing paving prep work at the cemetery. That's a lot of tree limb, trimming of tree limbs and different things like that to get the trucks and everything, all the equipment out there. They did a major stormwater repair at Roosevelt and Church intersection. Mower replacement, you may have seen within the expenditures, an expenditure for $10,000 for a mower. Operationally, the cemetery works with has 3 mowers, keeping a spare that's an older piece of equipment, and then also having 2 newer pieces of equipment that they work with. The spare works if any of the 2 go down. 2 of the newer ones go down. That one, Brad and Jay have been working on, and it's unpredictable as far as when it works and when it doesn't. They have finally given it up completely for dead. Not a problem. We still have 2 until one of those went down. Talking with Town and Country, that was going to be anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks before Town and Country could get that one into their shop to take a look at. Brad talked to me about it. They think they know what the part is, but they're not for sure. And so at that point, he was like, you know, Memorial Day's coming up. We don't have a lot of options. What do we do? So from that standpoint, there's a pretty specific set of specifications that they're needing out there. They're needing a deck that is anywhere from 54 to 60 inches wide. They're also needing it to be commercially rated. So I instructed Brad to go out, start looking around either with everywhere between Town and Country, Lowe's, Marionville Power Sports, and then also Sutherland's. They were able to locate a same mower that was offered at another place for about $13,000. Sutherland's would give us the exact same mower for $10,000. And so that met the threshold, my maximum threshold for an emergency purchase. And so that took about, when he let me know on last Monday, started looking around, calling around of what they had and what the prices were. Couldn't find anything, but then they located that at Sutherland's. And so, again, that was under my threshold, at my threshold for the city policy, procurement policy. So I told him to go ahead with it.
That's obviously what raised my questions this morning, and, you know, seeing it met to the penny. So I'm just curious what you would consider an emergency purchase. Like what constitutes it being an emergency?
Something that
We
is
don't really have it defined in our book. You know?
Something that I would say is something that is going to significantly adversely impact the normal city operations for an extended period of time and stuff, especially in light of like the issues of Memorial Day and things like that. Getting behind really isn't an option. As far as out there using other departments, that wasn't necessarily an option. And it sounds like the one that they're working on trying to get fixed may need to be relegated to just the spare at that point in time. So another one would be is the emergency pumps. You probably saw that at some point. A pump repair. Those can be $20,000-$30,000 for the sewer plant. Having a wastewater, having a lift station down, or having the pumps not working out, same thing. Is that those we routinely do that, and we follow the policy. We write the memo of what it is, and move forward.
So I think the mower was a fantastic deal. Good on Brad, and he takes wonderful care of his equipment. What he has out there probably would not last half of it if I was running it. But are we able to get mowers through the state bid? Is that something that I know we kind of went? You've had saying some things are unavailable. I guess automotives are now unavailable through that. I didn't know if mowers were.
If they haven't closed them off, if they haven't closed off, it really depends on, number one, if we have something around here that does. SNH has in the past, Town and Country has in the past. So if there's something there, they also open it up for a certain period of time, and you got to order by this time, and then it might be closed. So from that standpoint, is if that is taking a look around, if that is open to us, or that they're taking, and a lot of times it's taking orders, is that they may not have it right there on the showroom, that they're having to order it in to be able to do that. In the past, that's always been the case with us. Whenever we went for a special order, where it's usually a stripped down model, not a lot of bells and whistles on it, just some of the basics. And so from that standpoint, they may not have that on. They have to special order it.
Gotcha. I guess I was just surprised that I know Brad's not asked for a mower for years, or we haven't seen it at council in our budget meetings, and to have something that was in such rough shape, you know, if there's any other critical equipment that would put us in an emergency purchase situation, you know, I hope we are looking at those weak links in our, I can think in backhoe for a street department, or, I mean, think of some of these pieces of equipment that would put us in an emergency purchase situation.
Right.
You know, one mower going down and all of a sudden we're in rough shape,
Yeah.
It's not.
And that's completely unpredictable, because right now, if Jason was still here, he would tell you, is that we have I think that the backhoe that we got rid of in 2019 was a early 80s model out at the sewer plant. They were able to make that work and no problem and stuff. And stretch it out that long. They were still having problems with it at the end of its life. Use it, spent 3 days fixing it so that it'd be ready to use it the next time. That's why we got rid of it. However, with today's electronics, DEF, and other things like that, it is nonstop issues and problems with not only that, but also the front end loader and that kind of thing. And it doesn't have anything to do with brand. It doesn't have anything to do with care and upkeep, because we do a good job on it. It has to do with the amount of technology that is being required to be put on these things. Right now, the backhoe, that is, again, I think it is a 2019 model, is down at the street department, as far as just they have trouble lights and stuff like that, and it goes into limp mode. At that point in time, it cannot be fixed, and it's usually about $1,500 just to get a case guy to get in a truck, drive out here, and tell them, oh, we can't figure out what it is. We're going to have to take it back to the shop, and then we've got to get it there. We have to get it there, and that sort of thing. So I understand what you're saying, but the realities on the ground is, what I'm trying to say is, a lot of that is just, it can't be helped. We can do everything that we can to try to, short of having duplicate items, but some of that we're just not going to know.
And you do a super job in the budget. You have the manifest that shows all the different years of all the vehicles that we have, so that's maybe something we take a little closer look at.
Yeah, that's all I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Cemetery department head
Right.
building and
And we talked to Brad, brought it up last year and said, yeah, that's something that we might want to take a look at. And I asked him, do you think you can go another year? He goes, yeah, I think I can go another year. But again, that's not something that's been necessarily overlooked.
Was the mower gas or is it diesel?
I think these are gas.
Okay.
There's differing opinions between Travis in the parks and Brad as to what works the best, whether diesel or gas.
Okay.
So I know he's watching, so there may be the text message over there for me on this.
Did you contact Crown? I mean, do you have a list making sure that we're contacting everybody so we're not
I'm sure that I
excluding?
leave that to the department heads. They know what to do, and so I leave that to them to do, and I'm sure they do.
Okay.
So they have a better idea and a grasp of the vendors that are around in there than I do. And so when I ask, go out and get, they do. So
It sounds like we got lucky with Sutherland's having that.
we were, and Sutherland's marked, like I said, the other one that was higher at another vendor. Sutherland saw their way clear to get that to us, because that was the discussion. And I even have that on my memo, is that I told Brad, if we can't get this at the $10,000 mark, can't find anything, then we'll put it on the agenda for this meeting and take it to council to get approval. And he was able to get it to the 10,000.
I forgot, what brand was it? I forgot.
A Bad Boy.
Okay.
So, any other questions on that?
Not for me.
Brad is also, as I stated, really busy with Memorial Day preparations and moving forward with that. That's always a pretty big deal in the cemetery. The pool is filled and it's operational, as Gary has said. Official opening next week for summer schools. There's several summer schools around the area that are coming and using our facilities. And so that is really a testament to, and part of that is that they've been very, very happy with the way we operate and manage that pool. Staff have been working on repairs at the dugouts at Baldwin Park. Out at the recreation center, steel framing is going up. To speak to an issue that public comment is that looking at the stormwater master plan priority projects and stuff, we're starting with priority one. As I've said before to the council, is that those dollars are split out as far as the sales tax that comes in. Part of that goes to the parks. The other part of that goes for stormwater projects within the city. In 2023, we made our last payment on the project, that stormwater project that was done at Lincoln and I believe, or excuse me, Locust and Lincoln Street by the Armory. The revenues from that are such that we're able to do one large project every, and then finance that out about every 3 or 4 years. However, last year, and it is reflected in the audit, last year is that we started a $800,000 stormwater project on the on the recreation center property. That project was not only for to catch the water, the localized stormwater that was generated by the recreation center when it was created. It also addressed major stormwater flow that moved across that property in the past and had for a number of years. That is already starting to show up that flow is slowing down as it goes down, then across Hadley Street, and then continues across school property, and then goes to the west and under Lincoln Street. We're already slowing that water down greatly. So that was paid for out of revenues, out of the stormwater, park and stormwater tax. Going forward, now that that is done, I've already begun conversations with Mr. Atkinson at Elgar Martin to start looking at the #1 priority project that is listed in the Stormwater Master Plan that was done in 2019. That is addressing the stormwater that comes off of both Walmart and the retail centers areas up at the northeast side of 60 and 39, and then the southeast. I'm trying to avoid naming names, but the southeast side of Elliott Street and the car dealerships there and all the other retail areas, is that all flows to the east and then flows to the north. That is a listed area for a detention pond to slow down water. A substantial amount of water flows across from Walmart behind Mays, and all of that goes under 60 and stuff like that. So we're looking at that right now to start that process. A large landowner in that area, and it's all floodplain and floodway, is Liberty. And so we're hoping that getting some of that land, having access to some of that land without significant cost can be accomplished by working with Liberty on that, and then working with the other property owners in that way. So the other thing is that we did do a large stormwater project by redoing the bridge. That was a huge holdup. Mayor Lewis and I ourselves have been out there and seen that, where you could not get to the wastewater treatment plant, and it was holding up a lot of water back under the bridge and under the railroad and stuff like that. That was completed using dollars from the wastewater treatment plant or the wastewater fund because it served that. And then we also are working on the South Street Bridge because that is a bridge right across from the Little League that is dangerous, is in severe disrepair, and that will also help alleviate some backflow and bottlenecks. So, sorry that was a little long, but there's a lot that's being unpacked and moving forward at this time. The SRF wastewater treatment plant rehab project, by way of reminder, that is something that we started this in 2019 to be able to use the state revolving fund wastewater treatment dollars for that. We are receiving a $2 million grant for that. We'll use the remaining funds, which are estimated at between about 2.8, I believe, for state revolving fund to rehab the wastewater treatment plan. The financial review is completed by DNR, and they approved it. Largely, that comes down to making sure that we have rates that will sustain the taking out the debt for the SRF through the SRF program, and making sure that we've done a good job in managing the resources and the finances of that enterprise fund. Nothing to report at the airport. City clerk preparing annual records retention destruction for in June, and she plans on bringing that list to you at the next meeting. Business license renewals begin June 1st. Chamber annual banquet is May 18th. And I've talked to the mayor about doing a strategic planning session to discuss items of interest as we get ready to go into the budget year. Things like mowers and stuff like this. Staff are going to be working on bringing items that are, because a lot of times they're looking beyond the front of the car. They're looking 3-4 years down the road. They're seeing things that are threats and opportunities, strengths, weaknesses, problems that only they can see. Because they're the ones that are dealing with it on a day in and day out basis. So we are scheduling a strategic planning session to let the board know, put all of these things on the board's council's radar about these things, and to discuss some of those items as we move forward.
Along those lines, I'd like to encourage all of us, if you haven't been, go visit Lance. Go out and tour the treatment center, go visit Jason, take a look around his shop, look at his equipment, go say hi to Brad, do a ride along. I think, and maybe everybody has done that and is doing that, but I think those make some of those conversations easier for them when we've had a chance to walk through their shop building and look at their equipment. And instead of them just sitting at a podium and reporting to us, and it'll help us too in understanding what their needs really are, as opposed to sometimes we get pictures and things like that, and those are great. But I think the more we can just get out and visit our facilities and department heads, the more we will understand what their needs really are and why they're asking for what they're asking. Just want to mention that.
The strategic planning session, you're set on that date by chance?
I'm trying to juggle how many we got? 9, 10 people, 15 people. That's about the best that we could do.
Okay.
So. Is there a time on that, John?
That's a Thursday, so we're looking at starting at about 6 o'clock in the evening. If there's interest, we can certainly start sooner than that.
Maybe shoot out the normal.
Okay.
pick a time and see if it works. Deal.
Okay.
Thank you.
Liberty software change. There's been a change in the software for Liberty regarding issuing of water bills and stuff like that. And that has created a little bit of a challenge with getting that. It hasn't gone as smoothly, taking their information, getting it into ours so that we can send out the bills. But Courtney has been working her tail off to be able to get that done. So no problems there, but I just wanted to make you aware of it if there is, if we do get a little further down the road and there is a delay. Bethany at Aborn at Liberty has been working with us, working with Courtney every day to resolve issues and stuff, so hopefully we'll get that ironed out. The public meeting for McNatt and Crescent and Windsor and Crescent bridges, that discussion has been rescheduled for June 6th. And Lawrence County Extension Office has been, as we've kind of shared, is planning a Lawrence County Economic Development Summit, tentatively scheduled for September 3rd.
Council, that's open for registration now, and I'll be emailing you the form for that where you can register online if any of you would like to attend.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, John. Anything else, council, before we move forward? No? Okay. With that in mind, I will make a motion that we move into closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.021 for 1, legal action, 3, hiring, firing, disciplining, 13, individual identifiable personnel records.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please. Yes.
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 Thank you, audience. We appreciate